Do not confuse this with treatment or mental health advice or direction. Nothing on this podcast is made to supplement or supersede the relationship and direction of your mental health caretakers. Although David Kozlowski is a licensed marriage and family therapist, he is not functioning as a certified mental health professional in this environment. And same applies to any professional who may appear on the OG Therapy podcast. Welcome to the OG Therapy.
Hey everybody, welcome to an special episode of Kava Confessions. I'm very happy to be doing these episodes again. By popular demand, we did a couple episodes last spring. These episodes were very helpful to a lot of people. I know the people who listened to our episodes before shared with us through social media and also personally that they shared it with family and friends. And so in that same spirit, we wanted to start off Kava Confessions this fall. But this fall, we're highlighting a very specific topic, specifically because it's Suicide Prevention Month in the month of September. But this episode is very near, dear to my heart. And to let everybody know why we're doing this episode is specifically for men out there who are struggling. And my guest today is going to tell an amazing story about how he came to find what is the main reason that men are struggling and also the best resources and way for them to get help. And it starts with connection. I'd like to dedicate this episode to the Seau family, the Seau, the San Diego Chargers family, all the friends and family members out there who love Junior Seau and his family. And we just want to tell you that we love you and that this episode is specifically for you. And that's why my guest and I are both representing number 55. We're both huge fans of the Big Uso, Uncle June. And let's go ahead and kick it off. I want to introduce Joe Tuiana. And with the I Love You Bro project, Joe, it's a blessing to have you here.
Oh, it's a blessing to be here, bro. Especially when I can meet and gather, in that, in the mouth of two or three witnesses, where two or three are gathered in my name situation, when I can talk with Polynesians about mental health, suicide prevention, and especially if it's for our dude, Junior. Oh, man. Yeah. It's so beautiful to be here, bro.
Thank you. Well, I want to start off with just getting into how this came about. I know that this story went viral and a lot of people were talking about this. I believe it came out about a little over a year ago. Was it the story came out?
It's about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago.
It took place 3.5 years ago, correct?
It
was a little over a year ago when you started the I Love You Bro project.
I Love You Bro's been here. Well, I mean, technically, I got my 501c3 for the I Love You Bro project about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And then I started our programs about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. All right. I was listening about it on a different podcast. I must have just got the dates wrong, but definitely have been long enough to get a lot of people help, a lot of men help out there and get a lot of great data to prove that what you stumbled upon, but obviously, as people find out when you tell the story, you weren't looking for this, it found you.
Yeah. And one of those situations where it's almost a very surreal experience that you see only in the movies or you see, on a TV show or something. And for me in this situation, it started on a Saturday afternoon with my daughter. So I'm a full-time single dad of 3 daughters that I've raised, beautiful, awesome girls. And my youngest daughter had a basketball game at Lehigh Junior High School. And to get there from our place, you have to go over this overpass, and one that we've, driven over hundreds of times for school and activities. And on this particular Saturday afternoon, man, crazy, totally bonkers.
What time of the year was this?
This was
basketball
January,
season, right? Okay,
the end of January, yeah.
So it's winter time. I'm just trying to get the picture in my mind.
Yeah.
You guys know we're talking about Utah here, so it wasn't sunny and warm when this was going on.
Yeah, but of course I was still wearing shorts and slippers,
And flip-flops, of course, yeah.
I look like the big Samoan Lebowski, at the time, probably, at this moment. But I mean, at that time, I had was 2 weeks sober. Was a functioning alcoholic. I had double pneumonia. I was very close to checking into the hospital. I was not healthy in any way, emotionally, spiritually, physically, especially. And then, it's funny how that works sometimes, the way God works. And so on this particular Saturday afternoon, me and my daughters are driving to this basketball game, and we noticed this bro parked his car on the overpass, and which is kind of weird because overpass is, one way each way. And so he kind of parked in the middle of it. And so I was like, what does this guy do? Whatever. My kids were actually a little bit more interested in what was going on, why he was doing that.
Their spider senses are saying,
Yeah, they're like,
Dad.
yeah, what is going on? Me being sick, literally sick and
Get
tired.
this fool out of the
Yeah, I
road.
was like, what the, yeah, dude, what are you doing? Or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
I got this game I got to go to. So I kept driving. I mean, we slowly drove past, but I just kept going. But I was looking in the rear view mirror. My kids were looking out the back window, and this dude I see freaking ninja jumps over this protective fencing they have. So there's this big black fence there to help deter, from people from doing things like this. And the dude jumps over it with ease, and then my kids scream as they're watching this.
So when you say he jumped over, he climbed over the top of it to the other side. Was there any sort of footing or ledging? Was there?
No. It literally, he went from one side. So on an overpass, there's a sidewalk there.
Yeah,
for people
that's what
to
I was
walk.
wondering. So he was
Climbs up
over the sidewalk
Yep,
side,
over the
just
fence,
the fence
on
side.
the ledge. I mean, there's like, maybe 3 inches.
So he
or
crawled
something.
down the fence, kind of a thing.
Crawled
Okay.
down, and the fence is probably 5 feet tall. It's not
So
like
this guy wasn't bird watching.
No, he wasn't bird watching, and I could feel it for sure. My kids felt it, and so my kids scream. I have this come to Jesus moment where, I cannot believe this is happening to me right now. I made it about me in a lot of ways, and then my kids influenced me through their shock and awe of the situation to turn around and do something. Thank you, Jesus. So I turned around, parked behind his car on the overpass, told my oldest daughter, you call the police. My two in the back, you guys just chill. I got this, kind of a thing. And I got out of the car. And I mean, to my daughters, they've seen me, take care of everything. And, to them, they're thinking, okay, well, dad has this. And absolutely in no way, shape, or form did I have that situation under control. I immediately started sweating, like water was pouring.
Adrenaline started
Bro,
kicking in.
dude, my
Yeah.
blood pressure shot up. It was like falling out of my face, like water. And I was like, I'm gonna pass out, dude. I am not.
Your immune system's already broken down
Yeah,
anyways.
I was like getting dizzy. And then I said a quick prayer, just saying, please, Lord, let this man feel your love for him. And it's not like I had this, water in a wine situation, but I had from there an extra measure of confidence, to go into that situation. Because at that time, I started having all these thoughts of, who do you think you are? You're not worth, you can't help this. You can't help anyone. You can't help yourself. You're going to make things worse by being who you are, doing this, and all these hateful thoughts. We call them jackass thoughts. And I love you, bro, coming into my brain.
Luckily, you didn't have time to
Yeah.
entertain those thoughts.
Oh,
so
man,
you
I
had to
didn't.
go. You had
I
to press
did.
send, huh?
I did it, bro. I locked in. And so God was very good to me. And so I started walking towards him. And he's happens to be a Micronesian dude. And so he was luckily, he wasn't a big guy, but he was a smaller, maybe 5'2", 5'3" dude, smaller Micronesian bro. But I was thinking, man, just being, 6'3", 315, like being me, looking like me, I could make it worse,
Oh, yeah.
And so I was thinking, what can I do to make myself more inviting or less intimidating? And so I had the inspiration to open my arms out to him, like I wanted to give him a hug. And I started walking towards him slowly, almost like it was so loud. Overpass is crazy loud if you've never been on one. So I almost started screaming the words, I love you, bro. And as I started walking towards him with my arms open, screaming, I love you, bro, I finally get right underneath him where he's standing. And he finally makes eye contact with me. And he was so sad, bro. He was just clearly just so upset. And so he's crying.
And you know what that looks like at that
man.
time of your life. Like, you know what that look in his face looked like.
Yeah, he was not in a good place. And so I started crying. And I'm one of those guys. That's how I regulate my emotions with everything. I cry a lot. And so
I cry and eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I agree. And so for me, it's, I was able to connect with him, through that mutual emotion that we were sharing. And he had this moment where he was choosing between me and, the great beyond. And so at that time, I had a feeling to jump up there and grab him. So, bro, I mean, I got bad psoriatic and rheumatoid arthritis that there's no chance that I could do that and feel good. But I did it like quickly, grabbed this dude, lifted him over the fence like he was a sack lunch, and slid down to the sidewalk on the safe side and just cried with him and just was present with him, hugging him. He was just latching onto me with everything he had. And I just repeated the words, I love you, bro. And we had this very spiritual, very sacred time together. And the two of us. And then I want to say like maybe 90 seconds later, society started showing up. What I mean by society, it's first guy John shows up and he's like, "Hey, why would you want to do this to his name's Aaron?" And like a very shameful tone. And then, bro, this girl shows up, and then she's like, "Do you have kids?" And Aaron's nodding yes. And then she's like, "What would your kids think about you doing this?" It was just one shameful, horrible thing after another
Were you like,
from them. And mind you, I'm just a dude.
Yeah.
Who's,
Were you like, dude,
yeah.
that's not
And
the
I was
right
like,
move.
look, this is not.
So
this
you'd
is-
have to be trained to know that
No.
they're not saying the right thing right then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I don't know, I didn't know necessarily what to say.
By the way,
except for I
even
love
if you were trained, people are trained and that's what they do. So continue. You're
Yeah.
like, you just knew it wasn't right.
It just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Especially didn't sit right with me. And so anyway, it's not like they wanted to make things
The intentions
worse.
were good.
Yes, their intentions. They were just kind of regurgitating what
They're thinking out loud. They're thinking out loud.
They were just thinking out loud. And so what they were taught, or how they grew up. And so the police came, he got the care he needed. My kids peeled me off the frickin' sidewalk. And, we limped to this frickin' basketball game. Later, the story does go viral. Like you were saying, I was on MSNBC, Fox News with this crazy, crazy sacred experience, the story. He sees his own story and then reaches out to me through Facebook. And it was like 4:30 in the morning.
So he wasn't featured in the story.
No,
the
no,
story's
no.
about him, and then he
Yeah.
heard about okay.
Yeah, and I didn't want to share the story
Yeah.
with anybody. It was
People are
very
very
sacred.
protective of that
Yes.
stuff. Yeah, for good reason.
And so they said, this could really help people. And I think you should share it. And so I did. And he reached out to me, and we had him come over for dinner, he and his little son and his mom. And as I just let him just talk, and he was just a normal dude like you and I, who just happened to have a couple terrible things
He
happen.
was up against it. Huh?
And for men, and again, I'm at about 2,000 hours leading men's weekly support groups. And what I can tell you, observationally, anecdotally, and in our data, is that it only takes job loss, and you pair it with, a divorce, an impending divorce. Those two things will make any man start questioning their value in life. And that's what was happening with Aaron that day.
For sure.
And so we started Googling resources for him, because I'm just like, I want to help this dude. What's out there? And we Googled, I type in the freaking
Short Google search. Huh?
yeah, like
Where's the SEO? How come
men's mental health, suicide help men, and what came up was some just basic general campaigns from the FSP, from NAMI, nothing specific for men. Yet on the same frickin' search, I find that men are 80% of all suicides. 80, and we have no representation in any fashion.
Men pull a hammer, men
So,
jump off the bridge,
That's right.
men go hard in the paint
You
when
know.
it comes to how they attempt.
Yeah, I mean, women attempt 5 times more, but men, we complete.
More lethal means.
Yes. And so and access to lethal means. And so I was thinking from there, I think I can get Aaron some connection. He said he needed connection. He said he didn't know anything about how to help himself at all. And I was like, dude, I think I could round up some dudes and really help him. That's how I started, just helping him and addressing his needs. Started this first support group at a buddy in my fantasy
I bet you're
football
like, hey,
league.
one thing I do is I got boys I can
Yeah,
call. I
dude.
got friends.
Yeah,
Like
I have a buddy in my
you're
fantasy
social,
football
yeah.
league who was a therapist who had an office. I was like, bro, can I use your office? I want to do this. And he's like, yeah, man. So I started meeting with like 4 or 5 of us. And then, bro, soon enough, I started having faces I didn't know showing up to these groups, guys. And Aaron's needs were, he was representing, I should say, the needs of the silent demand that our community has for men who are struggling with similar things.
You
And
didn't
so-
have to sell other men that they needed that.
Yeah.
It was already there.
It was already there. I was just turning up the volume, muted.
Put on a little spotlight on it.
So I started with that first support group, and I got
And where was
to
the
be
first
bigger and
support
bigger.
group?
Provo.
Where was it? Provo.
Yeah,
Okay.
Provo.
And give me the timeline of this.
So this was, I got my 501c3 in a March.
Did you start the years before you got the 501c3?
No.
Because once you register,
yes,
you
I
can
did.
start. Okay,
yes,
you don't
I
have
did.
to wait.
Yeah, you're right. And I did right before. And I'm like, it started growing so quickly that I was like, I have to make this like an official thing. I want to.
So you apply, you get the first initial letter, but you're just working. You're not waiting for the government to approve what you already know you need to do.
I could care less about what, if it got approved or not.
That just made it more legit. That's all.
Yeah. It just gave me some credibility, validity. So I did. And by the end of that year, we had the one support group. We were probably about 5 to 10 bros every week into it.
So they're weekly in Provo.
Weekly in Provo, same place, same time, 7:30 to 9.
So it's just something consistent. They could just they get that hit of that connection, then they go, okay, I can make it next week. Every week they can depend on it.
They can depend on it. And
was it just you as a facilitator first? Or did you have other people helping you?
Just a dude. Just a broken alcoholic, recovering and struggling my own self. And
best qualified person.
It was the best qualified. Absolutely.
Best qualified person.
Through the Lord.
If there was shit, you'd stepped in it, right? You knew it was at.
Yeah, exactly. And so from there, we had a growing need. And then I was like, I think I'll just do this in Provo and then maybe one in Salt Lake Valley.
Yeah.
I opened one in West Jordan and it started blowing up. And then soon enough that, I never wanted to be in this game at all. Never thought about it at all. I mean,
how did I carve time out my life? Yeah. But you had to, right? It was obviously the calling.
It was part of my calling, my purpose, my new purpose outside of being a dad has been my greatest thing, from now. Now we're talking about, by the end of this year, we'll have 11 weekly support groups all throughout the state of Utah.
So let me slow this up for a second. So one moment you're going from, dang, I just don't want to take a drink today, to next moment going, I got to figure out something that's bigger than me. And then instantly in that, you just start having this like purpose that you didn't have before. Yeah. Now, instead of just trying to stay sober, you're like, oh, I better stay sober or else this falls apart.
Dude, I talk about that all the time too. I tell the guys, because we're obviously super open in group, I tell them, I need the I Love You Bro project myself because people are counting on me to stay sober. It's my example. It's my showing up for myself. That's lead.
As fathers, I mean, I can speak for myself too, and I'm sure all the guys in the group say, it sounds really good. Like, I'm going to do it for my wife, my kids, my family. Sometimes that's not always enough. It should be, right? We should always, but that outlet that your groups provide, it's like, oh, now I can do it for them. But this is that extra fuel for that fire, the extra motivation that now allows me to be even a better father.
Yeah, well, I think when I do it for my kids or when I do it for a spouse or whatever I think that works, but only for a little while. I think a sustainability to be sustainably, I should say, sober on recovery or in recovery, it requires me to do it for myself. And that's what the I Love You Bro project has given me. Aaron's doing great now. He's got all his life for him. Let me just kind of, preface, he did have an impending divorce. He did have some bad things said to him in that impending divorce. You're not going to see your kid anymore.
The group didn't save his marriage issues?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is before the overpass, right before. Yeah. And he, again, it just took a few things for him to get to that place. Normal dude. And so as I have had all of these support groups and I get men we're at about 23% population of suffering from suicide ideation. So we're just over 2 bros out of 10. When they come in specifically, the consistency or the pattern between all of them is that they have had 1, 2, or 3 major life things happening to them. None of them have a history of mental illness, depression, or anything. They had some terrible things happen to them.
All the stars align and not the good way.
And in the total wrong way.
Yeah. So, as we're, not that I want to get away from the origin story, but I listened to you on a couple of podcasts. So the origin story is very important, but right now in the present. Like right now, what you're doing and moving forward in the future, because if you guys haven't picked up, probably listen to this is obviously a visionary man. You got to be crazy to do what he's doing. Good crazy. I mean, like the good crazy, because you got to take a risk, right? Yeah, it's not when you're trying to do something that's never been done, you start to realize why people didn't do it before.
Yeah,
because it's a gamble. It's like you're rolling the dice and
totally
there's no guarantee. It's like you can't be like, oh, who are we gonna model this after? well, it's not really AA.
Yep.
Well, it's not really
SA,
this.
it's
It's like
not- yep.
you're scratching your head going, well, what do we call it? How we say it? The branding is such a huge thing because you got a stigma in mental health, but then everybody needs it. And guys don't like mental health talk. So
Yeah.
you're trying to balance, like, how do you get support from mental health people? But then how do you not brand it to mental health
Yeah.
to totally not dismiss, but to
Separate it myself.
separate
Yeah.
people from, like, because the guys, generally speaking, and don't get me wrong, I got to give guys props now. Guys are more open now than they were when we were
Sure.
growing up.
Sure.
But even there, the language can turn the wrong guy. If you get a guy
Absolutely.
coming off the construction side, man, I ain't trying to hear that
Yep.
crap. But
Oh,
if
yeah.
it comes from the right guy,
Yeah.
then it softens the blow a little bit. So right now, where you guys are at right now, tell us how many groups you have currently right now, and what exactly is the next step for you, and what do you need to get to that next step? And not
Yeah.
that you have to have it all figured out. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I never have it all figured out, and I think that's what has been a huge part of our success.
Yeah.
Is we lean into average Joes for average bros. I do have board clinicians, we are legit, we do think we use data and science, but what it always comes back to is, how can I create the space that I did on that overpass for Aaron, to address Aaron, to help Aaron? I want to
There's nothing
duplicate.
clinical about that.
Yeah,
There's
there
nothing
is-
clinical
yeah,
about
there
that.
isn't. And so
That's street psychology right there.
yeah, exactly. And so these spaces, we have currently 7 weekly support groups right now. Again, in the next 2 months, we'll have 11
Awesome.
total, coming
Awesome.
from Ogden down, Spanish Fork, Heber, Tooele. Anyway, but right now, we really need guys to know about it. They need to hear about it. I mean, we do have many of them come regularly. So we are not crisis intervention. That's already been done and it's happening. 988, great resource. We got MCOT, we got, the crisis center. We have crisis intervention.
Let the specialists on that do that.
Yes,
But
that's
they
not
can't
what we
do
do.
what you do. Well,
Yeah,
they
it's
can't
not
do what you do.
We don't, and honestly, I don't want them doing what I'm
No,
doing.
it's not their
working.
specialty.
It's not their specialty. And so what we're doing is totally unique and special, where we have guys. Yes, we do have some that come in who are like, I feel like I'm want to die, and we can help them
So
there.
the guys
yes.
that need mental health resource, you can give them the
Absolutely.
referrals. Yeah.
We can help them. We can help any bro that comes in, but the vast majority of them are suffering. Like, our number one challenge guys are experiencing is loneliness, 63%. And right after that is shame at 60%, and negative self-talk. And then anxiety, about 50%. And so,
And you capture all this data from when they come in. Hey, fill out this. Let us know what you're going after the group, stuff like that. That way you can take that data and you can say, hey, they're actually suffering. We're not off the mark. We're right on the target, but also helps you guide and direct what your next initiative is, what you're going to do next.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we take again, the guys are scanning a QR code, answering 10 questions, doing a quick self-evaluation, what emotions they're experiencing, what challenges they're having, things like that. And then when we're seeing most of these guys, again, two out of 10 are suffering from suicide ideation, whereas the other 8, they're all struggling with, they may not necessarily want to die yet or are suffering from suicide ideation, but they're well on their way. They have problems being lonely and shame, and all of these other, grief is a huge one too, finances. So when we're talking about suicide ideation, those are just people who have experienced men who are experiencing all of these other things, and then they've gotten to the point where they can't handle it anymore. So we're not crisis intervention, we're prevention intervention, where we can talk about some of this. Let's just start by talking. Let's just talk through a few of these things.
And to be more preventative, the more guys you have, then you're going to get to guys sooner, because guys are going to bring their friends. This is all a social relationship thing for you. It's like, if a guy comes in, man, this group's great. Next thing you know, hey, can I bring John? Can I bring Larry? Can I bring Junior? Like, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, like, they just keep on coming in. And that's really the word of mouth. But what you're saying is that the word of mouth sometimes can take too long.
Yeah.
Like, you need to capture, like, being in this, it's so weird to, and I don't know if you, like, I always thought it was weird because, like, long time people would call me a suicide prevention specialist. And I was always like, I just, like, I don't know, something about, like, I just didn't identify as, like, I'm a specialist that, because I didn't feel like I could call myself a specialist. And this is when I was going to graduate school to become a therapist. Then when I became a therapist, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable being a suicide prevention specialist, like, as the term, but it was the best thing to call it. So I'd say it. But as I've worked in it for a long period of time, and as I learned what you're doing, is that, well, yeah, what do we really specialize in? We're specializing in connecting people to something that they can't get by themselves. Because when you're alone, those voices inside the head, that's not always going to be the voice you want to listen to. Sometimes it is, but when you're bouncing off to your friend, your friend's like, dude, you're tripping. What are you talking about? Like, I love you. Like, wait, you do love me? I thought you hated me because I didn't call you back last week. Just getting all those things inside your head, those victim thoughts, stuff that you're like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not that, not that. Those guys in your group, they open up and share with someone that they're struggling. And they don't even realize until the person that was helping them say, hey, you helped me by telling me that you're showing. So talk a little bit about that. I want to know about the connection part of it. How does this work in the group? So people that have never been in your group, give me a story. Give me an example of like two guys you're like, whoa, this is the fact that these guys are becoming friends, because I'm sure you get lots of different types of characters coming in through.
Odd couples.
So give me some stories that really tell the story of what it's like to be in one of your groups.
Well, I mean, just from the very beginning, mind you, just an imperfect dude, functioning alcoholic. I was in no place to really help, anyone, especially myself. And
so you can relate to the specialist part. Did you understand what I meant? I wasn't dissing on being a specialist. I didn't feel like I could call myself one, and I was a licensed professional.
Yeah, and I think a specialist would be more of a professional. Like we, as human beings, we want to attribute, we want to have our name connected to things to make us sound better and higher,
a little
whatever.
asterisk next to my name.
Yeah,
I got something cool about me.
The specialist in me was just like you were saying, street smart, like what I've been through.
Been there, done that.
I've been through that fire, bro, and I've been through it many times. And so for me, the connection starts, when a guy walks in through the door, whatever if he's struggling with pornography addiction, or he's lost his job, he's struggling with self-worth, things of that nature, whatever it is, I may not be able to understand exactly what he's going through, but what I can do is I can empathize with him at a level that a lot of other specialists cannot empathize with. That empathy is what we really want to get to, and so in the special cases, I love him, Billy. He's the older dude who comes to our Provo.
Shout out to Billy.
Shout out to Billy, man. I love him. I'll see him this Saturday. But he went to the AFSP. He was regular communicating with them, and he was like, "What else is there?" And he just had a wife die of suicide. And the wife before that died of cancer, and so he's experiencing loss at such a level. And they said, well, you should try this Joe, I love you, bro thing. When I was fresh on the scene, he comes down to our Provo group, and it's just one of these situations where he could just cry, have a space to just grieve about his wife.
Nobody's gonna mock him.
Yeah, we were just there listening, intentionally present with a space that was dedicated for that validation.
No stupid questions like, why do you feel that way?
Yeah, man, why don't you suck it up? Screw you, man. Let me grieve, let me cry. And we gave him that opportunity. And so now Billy, he is one of our biggest advocates for,
he's again, the triple OG, huh?
Oh yeah, man. He's doing work with us. He's leading with us, and by his example, and so, and he's just one of many, bro. And I mean, right now we have a 76% retention rate on our guys. So we know that when a guy comes once, he comes for his own connection. He comes for his own space to help himself. And then we know within 30 days, there's a 76% chance that they'll come back, the same guy. But the reason he comes back that second time is for opportunities to help other men. So men are finding, yes, connection, but they're also finding a renewed purpose, a fulfillment in life that they were missing. So as I've done this I love you, bro thing, as I continue to do it, it is scripture for me. It's gospel. We need purpose and we need connection. Those two, you could say, oh, you need love, you need this. We're not women. That's what women, teens, LGBT. I mean, I know that game, but men, we need those two things, connection and purpose, or else we start finding ourselves on an overpass. So.
Yeah, I was smiling because we were talking, because it's such an ego hack for men. I mean, what you guys are doing, and that's a good thing, by the way, because, without getting too deep in the weeds, but women need to feel safe and secure, emotionally safe and secure. It could be financially, whatever it is. They need to feel emotionally safe, secure, specifically in an intimate relationship with a man. Men need to feel one thing, but they have to feel that they're deserving of that thing, and it's admiration. We need to feel like we're doing something to be deserving of being the man. We want to come home, dad's home, what's up? We want, people in business like to have respect for us and like to feel that we're deserving the admiration. If we're like, hey, everybody admire me, but we ain't doing something deserving, if we're going through divorce, I know when I went through my divorce, when I was struggling the worst times of my life, people like, oh, you're a great guy, this time. I'm like, yeah. I did not feel like I deserved any of those accolades.
And I actually don't want to hear it.
I don't. Exactly. It's the worst part when someone's telling you, like, I don't deserve it. But what you just said, the ego hack is that, and by the way, I believe the longer you go on this, the retention rate when you spread it out will actually be higher. Because when you say a guy come one time, what's the likelihood they're going to come again? They may come 2 years later, but they came back because of that one experience that they had. But that ego hack is like, yeah, I was here to help myself express, and then it connect with other people, and then all of a sudden it feels that next thing you know, like, wait a second, I'm listening to some little kid that I went, maybe a little kid like 21. If you're 48, 21 is a little kid, right?
All those guys are.
And then you're looking at this kid like, oh, he's not dumb enough to realize he's stupid. I'm gonna uncle him. I'm gonna be his uncle. Now I got to come back for him, not just for me. Yeah. That's the cool ego hack where guys will do it for the guys. Same thing. You played sports. A lot of our listeners play sports. Yeah. It's like, if you weren't a part of a team, you wouldn't even show up half the time. Yeah. But to know that, someday they're going to be there for you, someday they're going to be there for them. So that Bob, that's a great experience.
Good old Billy, man.
Or Billy, I'm sorry, Billy. Yeah, my bad.
You have a Bob too.
You have a Bob too?
I got a couple of them, man. We've had over 1,300 guys come through our weekly support groups and our monthly mental health workshops, and they all have incredible stories. Everybody does. One of the most agonizing things for any man or human being is to have a story or a pile of concerns and challenges and not being able to share that with anyone.
Well, what's the point of going through all that crap if you don't get to share it and make someone else's life better? Then it's like, I just took an L for myself. Good night. Like, if my L could help someone else not lose, because what's the saying? You got to learn from mistakes, but no one says they all have to be yours, though, right? Yeah. I'd rather learn from Bob's mistakes, Billy's mistakes, John's
I love
mistakes.
The quote is, you either learn you learn the hard way, or you learn from somebody else learning the hard way.
That's true.
And that's true. It's, I would prefer to learn from somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think in my case, I had to learn the hard way, and I embraced the hard way. It sucks in the middle of it.
Oh, yeah.
Sucks. But that could not come from observing the hard way. I had to be in the middle.
The hard-headed got to feel it to believe it.
Blue collar feels, bro.
Yeah.
That's what we do. So we're frontline, hard hat, lunch bucket. We're basic guys doing the basic work, but it's very difficult for them to do it. And they have to, I could create so many, these emotionally safe, judgment-free spaces. These guys got to show up. They got to do the work. I ain't going to run out there and beg you to come in. You got to get your ass up. You got to show up for yourself. And then when you show up for yourself, then you start finding out you can show up for other bros. We're counting on you. We need you.
So now let's tap into the real spirit of what this podcast is. This version of my podcast, obviously, the podcast is OG Therapy. This is a little special thing that I've been doing. Yeah. Let's talk about the Polynesian culture for a second. Because obviously the Polynesian culture, they might need a little help with open up a little bit sometimes. So instead, I don't want to be throwing shade on the culture but let's talk about the duality of this, okay? What about your experience growing up Polynesian? Because obviously, Afkasi say you're Italian and Samoan, right? Yeah. And I think I told you in the parking lot, what's your last name? Oh, it's Kozlowski. What? I'm like, well, I was adopted. I'm actually Mexican, so I'm 28% Mexican, 12% Native American, and 30% Polynesian.
That's right? Beautiful. What
with
a mix.
Polish last name.
What a mix, bro. Yeah, and with Samoans, Polynesians, they'll have God bless them, but they'll be like, I've had people say, well, oh, you're just Afakasi, and to me it's like, I would rather be
best of all the worlds, right?
I would rather be half, bro. But no, I grew up at in Chicago, in a very Samoan house. My dad's from American Samoan, and so my parents divorced.
What village?
So Falenyu.
Okay.
Yeah, and so on Tutuila, and so I had that iron hand, just like a lot of kids growing up in Samoan Polynesian households have. And you could cry about being Samoan, the motherland Samoa. Outside of that, maybe God and your family, but if you cried because you were sad, or had, a rough day, whatever, then you get your ass whooped, you get a fussy. And so I love our people. We're so passionate. We are so empathetic. We do have such great, interpersonal social
And
skills.
when we open up, it's heartfelt. It's big. Like
It's big. We have big
yeah.
hearts,
Well,
bro.
you
So
probably heard the thing that the reason why they're so big is they carry the big heart, right?
mm,
Polynesian people, like it would make
it
sense as a
makes
metaphor, right? So,
makes sense,
so
man.
you got the big heart. So keep on going about. So what are things like big heart, big connection, like to open up, right? Those are
Yeah.
all the assets that Polynesians just are in their DNA.
Yeah, I think we're very social people.
Very
Like the pandemic hit, and I think it hurt the Polynesian people more than anyone. We had OGs, like just begging. They would rather die of COVID on the pulpit, at church or at a community event than
Don't tell them
than
to
die.
go hang out,
Oh
talk
man,
story.
bro, you're cutting off limbs at that point for Polynesians. But for me, growing up in that household, which a lot of us experience, a heavy hand, very, we don't want to call it Polynesians. We don't want to attach that A word, that abuse word to that upbringing, but it's abuse. It's physical abuse. So we get that physically and emotionally in a lot of ways. My dad he was very special at it, I should say. Bless his heart, he's passed on. But I mean, and I'm not trying to throw my dad under the bus or any of our
No,
Polynesian
yeah.
people. It's just a fact of the, Fa Samoa and a lot of minds of Polynesians means you shut your mouth, you will get fussied, you will do what I say, you won't ask questions, and you will just deal with it. And now we have
Because everybody
guys,
else did before you,
Yeah.
all the generations.
now we got guys like our age why is it such a so far out to think we're alcoholics because of this, or that we have legitimate illnesses about us, that because of the upbringing that we had. And so Polynesians, we don't want to talk about it, man. And that's one thing I do exceptionally well, is talk about it and make people. I love having difficult conversations, bro, specifically with Polynesians.
Be honest, how much happiness did it bring you when you get some big uso to just break down, start crying? Like,
Yeah.
what's up, bro?
It is, man. It's so good. And most of them I know, because we don't get, we're averaging about maybe half a dude per group with Polynesians. So we still have a low turnout for Polynesians. But at the same time, when they do show up, when they do accept an invitation, these guys are saying the consistent thing that we talk about. Our upbringing is this just modality of, okay, discipline in respect equals, honor, and this, where it really was abuse. Oh no, we don't abuse people. Yeah, you did. Just own it, bro. That's like me saying, no, I just had a couple drinks.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. No, bro, I was an alcoholic. I wasn't. I own that. That's my life. I own it. So you freaking own your past. You own what you did, and then once you own it, then you could start freaking moving on from there. So we have a problem within the Polynesian community of owning our past.
So taking that now, flipping the script a little bit, not even flipping the script, just kind of going off that a little bit. So I was recently hit up by a couple of the LDS church leaders that run some of the Polynesian stakes here in Utah. And
Which stake? President Paungo?
Well, I'm actually not going to say like names, stuff like that right now. You'll know why in a second.
Okay.
So, I'm the licensed. I got to be careful on my end, right? But they reached out to me, and unfortunately, for the first time in their leadership position roles, it's going from mental health issues with Polynesian kids to successful suicides, and many suicide attempts that were very close. And so they heard about what I've been doing for, since 2009, for a long time, because my specialty is youth, LGBTQ, straight, whatever. But because of my Polynesian background, I've always, you have affinity. Like if a Polynesian guy hits you up, it's like, hey, cousin, this and that. Of course, you're going to stop doing what you're doing. Other people are like, hey, I might have one of my other people, but you're the best guy for that phone call, right? And so I was listening to what they have going on, and they're like, hey, we want to do something that's not a typical fireside. We got to break outside, because obviously what we're doing just isn't working. That's why I don't want to bring up names, stuff like that.
Sure.
So there's a lot of humility in this call. And there's a lot of like, hey, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've been getting calls from stake presidents, bishops, referring clients to me for the past, because in my licensed profession, I moved here from San Diego in 2008. And these guys will call me up like, hey, what do I do with this kid suicidal? Because like, I'm a general contractor. I don't know.
Yeah.
The fact that they weren't trying to play a role, and because my experience with a lot of the church leaders in the past, and I'm not saying all of them, but in like the early 2000s when I first started in the profession and stuff, they were trying to say, oh, I have a mantle as a spiritual leader, so I'm going to tell people, you read these scriptures, do this, and that's going to help. And I'm sitting here going, no, 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 don't do that. And then when I moved out here to Utah, there's some humble people that luckily I got a personal relationship with them. They're like, hey, what do I do? I'm a dentist. I pull root canals. I don't know how to help a suicidal kid. So this evolved over, 20 something years. And now when I'm getting these calls, it's definitely like, what could we do different? And could you lead this? But because I don't fly under the mental health flag, I'm a licensed mental health professional, but I created a whole different space. There's a different conversation. And so me with Evie Mahe, which is Reno Mahe's local family here. A lot of people know his daughter, and an intern of mine, Luke Hyde, who went out on a mission and came home early from some mental health issues. They realized that these two young people could experience, Evie lost, sister to a very tragic accident where she passed away. And then, this young man dealing with depression, mental health stuff. Both of them were realizing that when they're close with their family, their friends, and they could open up and share those vulnerable things, it triggered what for those people who listen to my podcast, because people are not LDS, it triggered this thing that is called the atonement. Now, the atonement is the whole Jesus Christ thing where he died for everybody. Yeah. And I've been telling people for years, I'm like, hey, man, the atonement isn't just for Mormons. If this thing is really real, it's for everybody can get that.
Thank you, Jesus.
But
that it's not just for...
I know, you got to be able to, it takes two people. You got to talk to a friend, an uncle, an auntie. And so they go, okay, we like this concept. So we came out and we did this conversation, but dads were coming up after me. And I didn't know about you at this time. They were coming up after me going, hey, I'm struggling, because we had a text line. We wanted people to text in their questions. People weren't raising their hands in this Polynesian fireside, but man, the text messages come in.
It's after.
So then I show the leaders, like, hey, man, told you. Okay. They want to talk. And they're like, oh, shoot. So we're planning a big fireside, which I want you to help me out with that. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I really want you, because there's another side of this with the dads and the moms were saying something like, oh, we need this. I love you, Uso. I love you, Toko. Like, I'm not saying that you have to do it, but I just
it's coming. It all comes.
There's certain people that you got to give like something, like they got to get like a little bit out of the curtain, right? And talk about it a little bit. And so after that conversation, now it's getting to deeper conversations with the church, and it's making me so happy. Because for many, many years, I'm like, I don't think they understood that if you focus on the problem, you create more problems. You have to look at the solution. And what you guys are doing with the Polynesian people, and so my question for you, so that's kind of the story, but my question for you is, when you're hearing these men in your groups, they have to be talking about the worries of their kids. That's got to be one of their biggest motivations at times to change their own way of looking about vulnerability, because you can't give something to your kid that you don't have to give. Yeah. Like, how are you supposed to tell your kid, oh, tell me how you really feel? Dad, how do you feel? Oh, I'm good. Yeah. So for you, what has the groups done for these men as fathers wanting to be a better example to the kids in vulnerability? Because I know we're talking about Polynesian people. We already established they need help with that. Yeah. So for your opinion, what are some of the, not opinion, what are some of these things you've seen, how these groups have helped them be better dads?
Well, we have, it's important that, I preface that with, our data shows that we're only about 40% of our men are married.
Okay.
Who come. That doesn't mean
that they have a smaller percent as kids.
That doesn't mean that they have a good marriage, even. They're just married, Okay. And so the other remainder is divorced, single, widowed, separated. And so the majority of the men who do come, if they do have kids, the vast majority, if not all of them, do not see their kids very often. And that's a part of the attachment of their grief and their shame, is that they don't have that connection, or that connection's been removed from them, from their ex or whatever. And so now the men who do come, and the men who do have kids, and that they're able to see on, either a weekly or bi-weekly basis, that is the focal point.
That's the best. They're turning that. They want to go straight at that.
That is a driver for them to stay alive. That's a driver for them to get better and to be better. And so when you're talking about men in general, who are suffering from suicide ideation, or some of these other challenges, they don't have a lot of connection. We're talking about connection. They don't have at least a trusted connection. 56% of the men who come to our weekly support group say that they don't have a trusted connection. And these are men who are actually comfortable enough coming to a support group.
Yeah.
So the assumption is that it's even worse than with normal men in the community. So when we're talking about men who can't see their kids, who may not make enough money or have a terrible job or don't have a job at all, and they're divorced, you start adding up all these things and you can see real quick they don't have any purpose anymore. It's been removed from them. They're not getting any fulfillment from something. Maybe a few of them are coaching little league or whatever that gives them some, but those connections, those trusted connections, they are not able to create for themselves. And so with the I Love You Bro project, these weekly support groups, they get a structured weekly average Joe for average bro opportunity to start making some level of connection, to start sharing with someone outside of their bishop or their friend who they don't want to share too much with because I want to keep their masculine self, mask on, but at least they can take off bits and pieces of the mask in the group and then see that, oh, wow, I'm not alone. Men, we're very visual. And so I had a guy in our Kaysville group come in struggling with suicide ideation, and he was so sad about it. He was so ashamed of having these feelings that I looked around with about 10 12 guys there, and I said, guys, would you raise your hand if you've struggled with suicide ideation? And the whole freaking room rose their hand. And I looked at this guy and I said, I can tell you till I'm blue in the face you're not alone, but let me show you that you are not alone here. Look at all these hands. And it just opened this guy's eyes, like, I really am not alone. And so having a place, I wish we could do it at church. I wish an elders quorum for the LDS church was like our support groups. I wish our home was like a support group for us. It's unfortunately not the case. And so with I Love You Bro, we're able to create spaces for men to come find validation, to be vulnerable, and not to be weaponized against them later.
So let me ask more of a specific question, because having run groups for 27 years now, gnarly groups, these groups, and sometimes it's sexual survivor groups, but the majority of my groups have been around, 80% of the population were suicidal, right? Mostly teens, right? So I guess what I'm wondering is that for someone listening to this that's looking at coming to a group, because I know a lot of the fathers I talk to, once they turn around, they'll go, hey, I want to make an improvement in my mental health. Then they start going, okay, biggest motivations. One of them is like, how can I connect with my kids? Is there a way, like, how do you set up the groups? Is there a way that they can be like sharing their wins of that week of like, because what I imagine is like a guy comes in, it's like, hey man, like I haven't seen my kid in X amount of months because this and that, but I got to call them on their birthday. So normally like, oh, what'd you get? This and that. But if you're coming to the groups every single week, that's not going to be the same conversation. Now. They're going to take a little bit more chances, because a lot of times, like, I've had guys say, I'm like, well, I've abandoned my kids, or I screwed up here and there. I don't have the right to tell them I want to be there or make like claims, strong claims, because I love you, bro, is a literal statement. Yeah. It's not like, can I love you, bro? Yeah. That's a question. And we can talk about the difference between what happened in your experience with that young man. And I want to end with this, why that was so powerful. Because when those people came up, they asked stupid questions and you just made a statement of truth, right? So what are some of the things in your group that allows the guys to talk about sharing what I did with my kids, and other guys can pick it up? Oh, I guess it gives them permission to be more brave to talk to their kids.
So the function of our groups, a lot of people ask, well, what am I going to see? What am I going to experience? Like AA, or is like so when we start group, I always start every group with an icebreaker question.
Great.
And that's something very,
stretching out.
Yeah, just stretch it out. Exactly. And like our last one of a good one we had was the most embarrassing or funny way you've hurt yourself. And we went around the room and it was hilarious. We were laughing about it.
Perfect way to disarm everybody.
Yeah, just to exactly get everybody, get the juices flowing. After that, we do wins. That's the next step is, and a win can be described as, of course, I want to hear about your promotion. Of course, I want to see, yeah, cool, you got a new car. But the big wins for me, the ones that I share the most are the conversations that I have with my kids where I made a mistake.
Okay. That's exactly what I was listening
and then I owned it. And then, so we'll go around with these big ones. We have a bro who suffered a stroke not too long ago, who can only use half of his body, who comes, and his win he'll share often is, I was able to walk X amount of steps today, and we're clapping. We clap after every single one of them. As men, we don't want to celebrate these little things because we're embarrassed. We'll just keep it inside. Or I'm like, no, dude, here, I love you, bro. We clap, we shout, we celebrate each other. And
you
so
talk about the sadness.
yeah,
It's
no.
funny. You gotta talk about the.
You gotta be able to laugh. You gotta be able to cry. You gotta be able to celebrate. So we do our wins, and then our wins transition. We were at about 90 minutes, 7:30 to 9 every group. So by the time we're done with wins, depending on the size of the group,
If it's a big group, it can be like going on for a while though.
Some of my Lehigh groups, 16 deep sometimes, and so with dudes especially, it can get cumbersome. But an average group's about 5 to 8. But by the time we're done with wins, we're at about 45 minutes left. And then it's like, okay, now let's share what's heavy on your heart, bro. Whatever it is. You don't have to share it all. You can share just a little. You could sit back and observe and listen and learn. Whatever it is, whatever brought you here, let's talk about it. And then we don't go around the room, in this way. It's just share if you got it, bro. And then that's when you're spot on. When you get one guy, it's a synergistic feeling, a symbiotic relationship these guys are creating, that once I share my difficult thing, once I show my vulnerability, I do give an unspoken permission to John to do the same thing. And then suddenly we're connecting and vibing. And does it save lives? Absolutely. Can I, do I have a metric for that? Not necessarily, but I'll tell you, we have many men. We're not just trying to save lives. Of course we want to do that. But what good would it have been to love Aaron off the ledge and then say, have a nice frickin' life? Aaron needs continued support. He needs continued connection. He needs to have bros there watching out for him. It's never just a one and done. We're all susceptible to some of these thoughts and challenges. And so anyway, but we do. There's a very cool, it's very simple. Average Joe for average bros. And when the guys come, that's what they can look forward to. The stigma holds up as far as we sit in a circle. It might be couches, it might be chairs, but it's pretty awesome.
One of our buddies, young man that came to our groups a long time ago, because I told you for the podcast, and everybody listen to this, that's why I don't need to talk about my thing. Everybody knows all about our stories. We've had tons of stuff about that.
Dude.
But this one kid, we were getting a sponsorship from Skull Candy headphones, and they were like wondering how they could help us out. This is a long time ago, back in 2012. And Stefan's the kid's name. And one of the people there were like, so it's not mental health? We're like, nah, it's because people thought of mental health therapy, because this, over 2012, it was like 13 years ago. So it was hard for people to really understand, right? And so he described it this way. He goes, this was a very smart, articulate kid. He'd been to psych hospitals, was diagnosed with some heavy stuff. He goes, the best way to describe it is that, how traditional mental health therapy groups are a vehicle to get a person to a better place in life. That's what it's supposed to be. And we're like, yeah, I didn't know where he was going with it. And he goes, but in this vehicle, he goes, that vehicle was created for a different generation, a different type of people. And then he went on to say, he goes, what we've done, and this is very similar to what you guys have done in your own way. He goes, what we've done, the teenagers, because I let them form the structure. He goes, it looks like a group on the outside because we're in a circle. He goes, but this vehicle, we put rims and tires on it. We blacked it out. We put a stereo. And I love it, bro. I started busting up laughing. He's like, so I love it. That vehicle is a car that someone else want to drive in. We don't want to drive in that car. So you guys have created your own vehicle for men so that they could be like, because think about when you're in a vehicle, you're gonna be on a long ride together, might as well be comfortable and hang out with the boys while you're doing it. So it's just kind of when you said that, I'm like, you guys have your own vehicle. I selfishly, because I've sat in so many groups, I'm like, I don't want you to talk about just what the group does. Let's peek behind under the hood. Because most guys that will listen to this, that's not, no, this is not, this is a homie hookup hangout that just happens to help your mental health. The helping the mental health is just the outcome of it.
Yeah, it's a byproduct.
It's just a byproduct
of what we're doing, and that's the hope, is that, the guys, and the data shows it. I see it and observe it. I feel it while I'm in the group, but the data proves everything that we're doing is working. And
it proves the application. You got some proof over here to feel what you're saying.
Exactly.
So. I just wanted to end with one thing. So a good friend of mine, I don't know if you know any of the Havilis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So back in 2017, Stanley and I were both asked, and this junior stay out jersey, for those guys looking at this, it's usually up on the wall there in a frame. There. I have the bolts down. This is a memorial jersey. Big hero of mine growing up. And, just cool to know him as a kid. I wasn't best friends with him like some other people were, but, he came over to the house all the time. You look up to larger than life, right?
So large.
And so when I've worn this is the third time I've worn this jersey. The first time I was a keynote speaker for American Foundation Suicide Prevention, wore it then. I use this example of like, just because you go through something, it's not who you are. It's just what you're going through. Like, this is not, death by suicide was not who Junior Seau was by any stretch of the imagination. If you watch the 30 for 30, you know that he was going through way more that he didn't tell anybody else. Heartbreaking when they read his journals, right? The second time I wore is Stanley Havili and Alemia Harrington. All three of us were asked to speak at a mental health conference for Polynesians at the University of Utah. And I wore it then. And I'm wearing it today because I want people that are listening to this to see what this guy is doing. This came from the grass up. This part here, it was the perfect recipe. He had to go through all the lickings that he went through growing up, the Polynesian culture, the alcoholism, like all that different type of stuff. And then being at the right place at the right time to see that man, and then having something that's bigger than you, like just something bigger than you and your family. It's like your community, everybody else, Polynesians, white, Asian, anybody can get this I love you, brother love, right? And it's for everybody. And I wanted everybody to see that. And I just want to share with you that Stanley Havili and myself and many other people have shared when they were suicidal, because that was part of my thing. Coach Ron McBride, you know who Coach Ron McBride is? Yeah. So I got the very first I Love You Man award from Lavelle Edwards before he died, and Ron McBride.
Wow.
And they gave me the award. Now, imagine you guys, we're at Thanksgiving Point, a big golf tournament, and they gave me the award because these are all former NFL football players, big D1 athletes, and I got the award for not being successful at killing myself. Wow. I got the award for not being successful. And the reason why I wasn't successful, I'm not going to get in the story, but he showed up at the hospital 4 a.m. in the morning. My football career is done because I had too many concussions. They couldn't tell him, this was back in 1996. They couldn't tell him what had happened to me because back then it was way more stigmatized. So he's going, what's going on? He knew I had a knee surgery, but that was 2 weeks ago. He's going, what's happening? And he knew I was just getting out of life support. They just pumped my stomach. So he kind of figured out. I looked up at my coach, and you guys can laugh at this now, but this is my I love you, bro story. To bear testimony, what he is doing is 1,000% legit. And Stan Havili has the exact same testimony. So you got to have him tell you his story too. So we'd love to come down and just sit there and be a fly on the wall in your groups. Well, he comes up to me, and I'm looking at the clock. It's 4 a.m. I look around, and I'm like, I took enough pain pills to kill a horse. How the hell am I still alive? I was not planning on looking around. And my first thought was like, my coach is there. He's going to kill me because I'm scared. Everybody's scared of your coach. And my first thought was like, my fiance just broke up with me. I can't play football in the NFL like my brothers. I'm like, and I suck at suicide. I can't even kill myself, right? So I was like thinking, I'm like,
that's a shame. I'm
probably going to have to attempt with more lethal means. That was my first thought. This white-haired guy walked up, and instead of yelling at me, instead of cursing me, like, what the fuck? I thought he was going to cause, because he's very colorful with his language. He looked at me, he looked around, he leaned close. He's like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what you're going through. He's all, but this is not who you are, Cos. It's just what you're going through. I love you, man. And when he said he loved me, like this, bro, snot. Yeah. I mean, it poured, you know, when you
ugly cry.
I couldn't even breathe, the snot coming out of my nose. And he was like, it took me a couple minutes to get my breath back. And as I got my breath back, I'm like, Coach, I've been hiding so many secrets. I was adopted. My mom's alcoholic. And he was like, okay, man, you might need to talk to someone. Bro. I ain't no therapist. But all he goes is, promise me one thing. I go, what, Coach? You'll do anything. Promise me you'll talk to someone. I love you, bro, and hugged me and walked away. Stanley Havili story, the same thing. So I want to take my life experience, and I want to give the cosign the credit to this Uso right here. What he's doing for young men, for old men, all men, we can't do for ourselves. The best suicide prevention he's proving is connection. Yes. And so I'm thinking of all the people I want to connect you with. Not that you don't have connections, because I know obviously you've done that. I need them all. But also too, I ran these social support groups for 11 years. The stuff that we figured out, I would love to just give anything that could be of any help, even just shut my mouth and just send you guys different referrals. But more guys need to know about what you guys got going on. Thank you, man. And this has got to be nationwide, as you know. Puts a big responsibility on you, so don't plan on getting drunk anytime soon. You've got too much work to do.
No, too much work to do. Too much work to do, bro.
No time for a hangover right now. You got to keep it rolling.
No, but I do think about that life, and if I didn't turn around, if I didn't accept the Lord's invitation to go to be a part of that, and I'm thankful for it. But for my own self, for my own life, and for the lives of my kids. And so, no, we have we got a problem, and it's great that Polynesian men can see and hear your story, can hear some of the stories that I have, and then be able to just at some point um, come to the understanding that you are not your thing. You're not the suicide ideation. You're not the alcohol. You are not that person. That doesn't define you. We have this thing called jackass thoughts in group, where those are thoughts that come to us that says you're not worth it, that says you're a bad person, that says all this other lying crappy things to us. And so in group, we write them down on a piece of paper, fold them up,
Oh yeah.
we put them in our
Love
little
it.
trash can, and we close the lid. Jackass trash. And so those jackass thoughts are not you, man. You guys are always freaking worth it. Every single one of you. We're worth every ounce of us reaching out for help. We're worth every ounce of love that is offered us. And we have to come to the realization that if we can just give a little bit, start with a little bit, whether it's your buddy or coming to one of our groups or whoever, just give a little bit, man. Just make a little investment in yourself. You are always freaking worth it, and you're loved, bro.
So to end this on the right note, we do all my listeners a favor. Tell them where they can find you. But
Awesome.
after that, I want you to end on, I want you to talk to that guy that needs to come to your group that he doesn't know until he sees this.
So you can find all of our groups, all of our programs are on iloveyoubroproject.org, or it's our website. You can go to our social media on Instagram. It's just I Love You Bro Project. On Facebook, the I Love You Bro Project. And you can find all the flyers for our different weekly support groups. Come to those. Those are a great start. Practicing how to open up, practicing how to feel emotion, cry a little bit. Whatever the case, just come be with us. Don't be alone in those struggles. For the guy out there, I should say for the woman out there first, please keep being there for your guy. We love you. We need you. All the women out there, the daughters, wives, moms, sisters,
Kids.
we stick with us the best you can. We will fight to be with you. We're trying. Thank you for your patience. For the men out there, I am fighting for you, bro. Like, you have to fight for you too. I will show up when I don't have time. When it's uncomfortable, I will keep showing up. I ask that you show up too. Come. You don't have to be alone in tough thoughts and jackass thoughts. You don't have to experience those alone. Sure, they will never go away. Yes. But guess what? They're manageable. They can be manageable, and you can manage them with us. You can talk about it a little bit, get a little bit more support. Just start, bros, by showing up with us. Totally judgment free. You can hear me now. I'm a crybaby, and I love it. It's how I regulate my heart, man. I say, my heart's on fire and my eyes are sweating, and it is for you guys. It's for the need out there. So come be with us. Go online, see our flyers here in Utah. I'm sorry for any of the other people outside of Utah. It's coming. Change gonna come, like Sam Cooke said. Change is gonna come, and we will be that change for men, particularly. And I love you, bros. You're always worth it. So,
Well, I love you, Joe. And
love you,
to
bro.
all the families out there that need a good man, listen to exactly that, not need a good man, but want the best of your men in your life, please send them to I Love You Bro Project. And until next time, be cool.
Be cool. Love you, bros. Awesome, man.